everybody. Welcome to Bourbon and Birds. Nancy's with me again. This is another little video in a series of beginning bourbon and how to know what you're drinking and what you're looking out for. So today's video, we're going to do the highs and the lows. And by that I mean we're going to look at a bourbon that has a low proof versus a bourbon that has a high proof. And that's one of my recommendations is if you're going to drink bourbon neat and you're a beginner, that the first thing you want to know is what is the proof. Now, proof is, in the United States, proof is half of the volume of alcohol. So this Basil Hayden toast is 80 proof. So that means 40% of that liquor in there, that liquid, is actually alcohol. Now, these are both in the Jim Beam family. I'm partial to Jim Beam family. I grew up, my dad was a Beam man, so that's what I kind of lean towards. So that's that Basil Hayden. Now these are a lot harder to find, especially in the upper Midwest. This is Booker's Beam. They come in boxes and they've got, you can't really see it real well, but they've got clear fronts to this box, and they're very proud of it. You know, they got Booker's written down the side, and there's a picture of Booker Beam on the back of it down there at the bottom. It's kind of cool. So there's people I've seen that have this, and like in a basement, they'll have these sideways up on rafters, just tons of them that they drank mostly Booker's their entire life.
You could use this as, if you set it down the other way.
Yeah.
When you're done, you could use it as some kind of storage.
Well, and that's what they do. They have these Booker's up on like almost like a mantle up towards the ceiling and everything, running them around the building and everything. I've been blessed to be able to find 2 of them. So, and there's a little batch story with it and everything. I think this was the Apprentice. This is the Apprentice bottle, I believe, is the one I got here. Let me get that box out of the way. It is super cool. Now this one, like I said, the other one was 80 proof. This is 124 proof. So you're looking at 62.2% alcohol. So this has half again as much alcohol as this. The reason you want to know that is so you can moderate what you're drinking. You got to know how much are you putting, or is somebody putting in for you into that glass, because 2 of these is equal to 3 of these. So you don't drink 3 of these thinking you're staying up with the other guy, because you're not. And then your higher proofs, a lot of people talk about, that they're a lot harsher. And that can be true. I bought this toast the other day. I'm not a big Basil Hayden fan. I think that their flavors come in a little undervalued to me. But I was curious about this one because this is actually a finished one. And when they call it toast, it doesn't taste like
toast. Why is it called toast?
Well, it's called toast because that was its secondary barrel that it was finished in. When they make bourbon, they have to do them in new white oak barrels, and they char them inside, and they got a char rating. I think it's between 4 and 6 char. This was done that way for an absolute minimum of 2 years, and most stuff through Jim Beam is like 4.5 years at the minimum that they release anything. This was then put in another barrel. And it was a white oak barrel, but instead of firing it, they heated it up really hot, and that's where like on a toaster, they toast the inside of the barrel, and supposedly it helps with a different kind of flavor to it and everything. So that's the story behind this one.
So you're tasting the barrel, right?
That's what. Yeah,
that seemed like it.
Yeah, that's part.
They toast it.
They're trying to draw a little bit more of a smoother oakiness out of it. It's basically, they finish it so it ends up getting more of an actual toasted barrel flavor than a charred barrel. So that's where it gets, a lot of people think it's a lot more subtle. How rude was that? I poured my own first. I was just practicing to my pour. So.
Everyone knows the first pour is the best.
Yeah, no. And you can see this bottle's been open for quite a while, so it's had a good flow of oxygen around it. And that cap hasn't been used very much. Okay, so that's that.
Which is this, the high or the low?
This is the low.
Okay.
You always want, so make sure you swirl it around. That adds a little bit more oxygen to it. It helps some of the alcohol seep out. And then you take a smell. And you see it's an 80 proof. So that's one thing with those lower proofs. You don't get as much of a nose feel for these. You'll catch a lot of just
smells strong.
Just the alcohol to it, but it's not a harsh alcohol. Yeah, see,
It smells sweet.
Yeah, I get a slight sweetness to it, and that's what I think the last time when Rich and I tried this, we were surprised that we did get a little nose feel to it, and it was sweet.
Bitter. It's bitter to me.
Yeah. Now earlier we had some sweet stuff and everything, and we should have cleansed our palate with
Maybe that's it.
With crackers or something to take that off.
This is my favorite.
Yeah, I get a light oakiness off of it. I don't get a lot, but it wasn't like double oaked like a Woodruff or something that really brings out that. You know, if you double oak it, you get.
Is this an expensive one or an inexpensive one? Like, how much was this bottle?
This bottle was like $36.
Yeah, so
it's not
compared to some of your others.
Yeah, it's not what you'd say an ultra high end.
Well, what's the cheapest bourbon you can buy? Like, how much is a cheap bottle?
The cheapest bottle I've got upstairs was $9.40.
Oh, there is some really cheap.
There's some really cheap. And that's the one I think I don't know if I touched on it when you were there or with Rich, but it's when you look at the bottle, it says it's bourbon and natural flavorings.
Oh, and, yeah, we talked about that.
And it's like, what in the world are natural flavorings in bourbon?
Wood.
Well, yeah, do they add liquid smoke or so? I don't know. We'll have to crack that sometime. Yeah, Rich and I just haven't been brave enough to crack that thing. But it was one of those that one of the places that I frequent, they got a bottle of it in. And at the same time, he had saved a good bottle for me. And he asked me if I wanted that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll take that for sure. And then he goes, and I got this other one in as a single bottle too. Because that's around Iowa, our tobacco and alcohol division they'll send random bottles sometimes of the higher end stuff that's like allocated around, and liquor stores don't know they're going to get them. And that's what this Kentucky Tavern happened to be one that was just starting to come into the state. And he asked him like, I don't know if I really want that, but I didn't say that to him. I said, yeah, I'll take that. It's that relationship, with whoever's selling it to you. You want to keep that going. So adding another $10 to my bill for the day. The other bottle I got, it was $90 or something. So wasn't that big a deal.
Joe went to pick up the pizza at Godfather's Sunday, and when I looked at my statement because that tells me how much I've spent on this credit card, it was $187.
I told her those pizzas were.
Some very, very expensive Godfather's.
They ran the price up on us, I think. or I bought a bottle of bourbon because the same place. It's bizarre. It's a gas station. It's classic gas station with convenience food on one side, your little rollers and everything like that. And you get into the middle, and then they got a fairly nice, for a little gas station, fairly nice, especially bourbon collection. Everything's a little overpriced, but those mom and pop shops, that's what they do.
So what kind of bourbon was that you bought?
It was barrel. It's Barrel Company or something like that. Barrel bourbon is what they call it. It's odd to actually say what it is, but you've seen it. It says barrel, and they'll say barrel bourbon, and that's what it is. And I love those. They're blends. They're not one. They're not like all from one distillery or something, but they blend them together, and they'll blend like. Oh, I'm trying to think with the barrel company, what they do. I think they have some that are like 16 to 18 year bourbons, and then they'll mix those with some 8 to 10, and then they'll have some that are 2 to 6, and they don't tell you the percentages or anything. They're just saying this is, you're getting a blend of some very good bourbon and then some good lower aged bourbon. And that's just how they kind of do it, and these guys are so good at it. They are. That's the third different one I've got of them, and I'd like to have their entire collection just to go, just to roll through the barrels.
Here we go.
Is what I'd call that. I like series. I like collections,
We're going to need a bigger bourbon room.
Yeah, it's like Rich was saying, he wants to collect all of the Smoke Wagon bourbons. Those are the ones they come out of Las Vegas, and they're hard to find up here. He recently at a liquor store that he frequents up not too far from his house, actually, they had the Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered, and I'd been wanting one of those. I was always gonna maybe order it online because it wasn't a bad price online, but they got it in there, and it's that same thing. If I can't find it around here, but Rich can find it with his local guy, I have him pick it up there because that helps with Rich's standing with that guy, that he's bringing money to him, So if stuff comes in, Rich is going to get a better chance at, he's going to remember, I'll hold that, see if Rich wants that type thing. So that's what you always kind of hope for. But you're also just trying to be nice to him, and you want to make sure a local business thrives. And so what'd you think of that?
I don't care for it.
You don't care for it at all?
It's too bitter.
Really?
Yeah, that's all I taste is like bitter.
Like burn? Or
no, it's bitter. Like if you've been into something bitter. Bitter is. You don't taste anything bitter?
No. I get that toast, that different.
Maybe I'm getting burnt
smoker, toast. That different smoke, kind of woody taste on the. I always call it my second swallow off of it. I drink it, and I taste it across my tongue, but you know how you don't get everything out of your mouth, and you make that second swallow, and then that's where it's vaporized. This is Joe science. I'm not saying this is how it actually is, but it tastes. I can taste it a little different then, because it pulls that alcohol into my mouth, and then I swallow that, and I can tend to. I get more flavors on the backside of my tongue, and that's actually where I think the bitter taste and everything is on the very end of your tongue. Okay.
Bernie.
Our little dog Bernie, he's over there. We have our dogs wear
belly bands.
Belly bands are they're like diapers. They wrap around them. So, but he's over there and he's leaning up. He just was outside not too long ago.
He was a commercial for why you use belly bands.
Oh yeah, he's got a belly band on. He's over there trying to mark a bag of trash that I got to take down when we get done with this. So, anyway, okay, well that's fair, and that's a great point. Is nobody out there likes exactly the same style of bourbon. I mean, Rich and I, we like the higher proofs and everything like that, but there's there's times where I'll say, man, I think I really like this. And Rich is, and vice versa. You know, everybody tastes them a little bit different. That's why when you go into a liquor store, there's not just the same kind and it all says bourbon. There's hundreds of kinds.
Are you going to get a different glass?
I forgot.
Are you going to get a different glass?
Huh? Well, that's where if I had...
If you had what?
I forgot.
I didn't drink all.
I forgot the cork on this one broke, so now I'm gonna have to. Okay, we're back. Nancy's just kind of scrolling through on my phone at some of the comments on that last to see if we had any questions. When you're testing them, you're always, tasting different ones. Always throw a little bit of water into your cup, unless you're. A lot of people they'll just use brand new ones, but we don't have them out here, so this works pretty good. Plus, you're supposed to drink a lot of water with bourbon or anything. You younger people out there that you still want to stay in the shots and everything like that. Well, remember, every 2 shots you should drink a 16-ounce water. That just helps that stuff go through your system better. And take that advice from an old guy that's drank for a long time and drank a lot of different stuff. If you don't keep some water in you, that's what's gonna just give you a massive headache, just massive the next day. So now we are moving on to the higher proof. What did I say that was? 124 and a half-ish, 62% Booker's. I like these higher ones. The reason I like these higher proof, oh here, you gotta drink that water. So I can pour it in your cup. And a tip from my brother, when you leave a little bit of water in those, it helps with improve the smoothness of a bourbon as well. Whew. About overshot that on Nancy. So we'll move that Booker's over the side.
Okay.
So we're gonna try this Booker's. Cheers.
Cheers.
Remember,
it's high proof.
This is like half again the alcohol that the other one had and everything. But what I always like, when you look at the bottles, it's hard on TV, but like you and I, we can look at that. Look at the different colors. You see that?
Oh yeah.
How this one's such darker.
Yeah, it was a lot darker.
And yeah, so it's been in that barrel longer. It's had a lot more opportunity to absorb those oaky flavors and a lot of that. Rich, that's what I'm thinking. Last time for her birthday, we drank a little bit. Rich was down, and we were gonna make a video, and then it was just kind of
so much going on.
Semi-chaos, and football games were on that we never got around to. But he had one. I cannot remember what it was, but it had the richest chocolate notes that I've ever got from bourbon. Rich is good about watching his videos, and Rich, leave that down in the comments as to what one that was that we had. It was chocolate, and it had like a rich fruity. He thought it was like chocolate covered cherries. I'm not sure if I got cherry from it. I rarely can ever find it, but it was real close, and it was a good bourbon, and I don't think it was super expensive. I think it was in the $60 range. So yeah, it was definitely something that I would put one on my shelf. But cheers to Booker's.
That one's better.
Yeah. Now that's
taste-wise.
Yeah, by far a better flavor. That's where you start. You can get the vanillas and the caramels.
That's why it smells like vanilla.
Yeah, the caramels is what I really get out of the higher proof ones and everything. And then you can pull some of the fruitiness taste out of them. I haven't really caught that on that first sip at all. I'm a big Booker's fan. I haven't drank a lot of it, but from reading the stories about it and everything, I like the lore of bourbon and everything too. Bourbon is an American drink. It can't be produced anywhere but in America. It can't be called bourbon. You can run all the same stats and everything, but it's not the same. There's Nancy she's taking notes on it.
Yeah.
tasting notes and everything. She's gonna be ready for the pop quiz we're gonna have in about 2 hours. So. This is not at that proof level. This is not something that you're going to do shots of. And I always tell people, if you want to, and I think
don't recommend that.
I've hit that on a lot of different things. If you want to do shots, do cheap liquor shots. If you want to do bourbon in shots, go after the lower price stuff, because the higher end bourbons are meant for sipping. And bourbon was the first sipping whiskey. You know, give it the respect that it needs. I know that sounds like, I'm really fanning on it, but I am. Other whiskeys, rye whiskeys, can be quite a bit sweeter, and it can make a good shot whiskey. One person commented the only last time they had any bourbon was at Thanksgiving when they were in college, and they were shooting wild turkey. Well, if you're shooting wild turkey, that's fine. But if you're drinking Wild Turkey 101 or Wild Turkey Rare Breed or even Wild Turkey Long Branch, those are sipping whiskeys. You're paying that extra money. But if you're buying a $35 bottle of Wild Turkey, you can do that. The tasting notes are going to fly by you anyway, so you might as well not spend the money. You don't want to shoot bookers. You just don't do it, please. The bad thing is, if you like drinking bourbon and you drink something like the Bookers or something, you're gonna want to drink a lot of it. It's something that in a perfect world, that'd be something that you could do. You could call your daily drinker, your go-to one. But nobody's gonna do that with something, especially in the state of Iowa, where you can't touch that for like under $130 for that bottle. That's the worst thing. She's sitting here and I'm telling those prices.
I know. So we do have some questions. Well, comments I'll read over from our last video. Someone asked if we tried single malt Irish finished in a sherry cask. I have not. I've had Irish whiskey a couple times. Actually, the last time we were in Florida, that was my dream. I would dream bourbon stop. I stopped at the Polite Pig the time before, not the last time, in Disney Springs, and they're like a renowned bourbon bar. And I went in and I looked up the shelves and I just started spotting stuff. And lady saw me and she goes, you want to see the bourbon list? And I said, oh, absolutely. And so I had her bring down the 10-year Rip Van Winkle and the 20-year Pappy Van Winkle. And I took a pour off of both of those. And man, the Rip Van Winkle was good. But the Pappy, with the lore of it and everything was, I know it sounds corny, but it was like a religious experience. And when all the other people, it was mostly guys, were around the bar, and that lady grabbed that little ladder and put it up and started going up in that, everybody's eyes went up to see what she was going to pull down off there. And the moment she grabbed those two bottles down, they just started looking around to see who was getting that, because it's not a daily drinker. It's not something you get like every 2-3 months. Those are one in lifetimes, unless you have your own bottle, because it's just too much. You don't want to spend that. But man, it was so good. But after that, what do I hear? Oh, I hear one of the cats over here I thought
snoring.
It was Alexa talking.
No, the cats are snoring. But I tried and I don't remember if it was a single malt. She recommended it. And she gave it to me for half price. So, of course I was going to take that. and it was good. But I'm mostly a bourbon enthusiast. I got into it because of, like I said, the story of bourbon in the United States, and there's just so many just right here for me to try to collect. And I've said I got 80 years of drinking up there, because they sell bottles 750 milliliter. Well, if you start putting lots, I don't know if I've ever showed my entire collection up there. One time
someone asked about it.
Yeah,
to try and sometime get a good video.
Yeah, I need to just do a scan of it, just a slow pan of it. So if you want, you can stop and zoom in on what I got. But yeah, I mean, I could answer any questions about any of them too if you want. If whatever I don't know, I know Rich knows, so we could get you the information that you're wanting on it. Yeah, it's hard to try to get into a lot of other ones. Otherwise, you end up getting a diluted down collection. So, do I like Irish whiskey? Yeah, I'll go out on a limb, and I don't mean to make anybody mad, but I'll take Irish whiskey honestly over Scotch. The peatiness of Scotch, I have never got a good flavor or a good taste for it. I don't mind it. I can drink it from time to time, but it's nothing that I would ever say, ooh, let's go get the Scotch. And I know people don't flood the comments with, you got to try this one or this one or this one. I know there's tons of fabulous Scotches out there that are Scotches. Okay, if you don't like the bourbons and you love the Scotches, fabulous. Every liquor store needs people to buy stuff. I was down in Florida, and the liquor store guy down there that I stopped at, he actually told me that down in Florida, because it's so hot, nobody buys the dark liquors. He says everybody buys vodka and light rums and some gin. He says nobody wants them. They just sit on my shelf. And he had an impressive collection of stuff. And it'll be tough for me not to buy a couple bottles of what stuff that he had down there. And I'm hoping by the time I go back down, he'll maybe be a little more apt to drop the price on a couple of them for me.
Good
so,
luck.
yeah. And I don't think he'll recognize me, but...
Someone else wants to know if you've tried Eagle Rare, which I know the answer to that.
Yeah, the Eagle Rare. Yeah, that's a great one. That comes out of the Buffalo Trace Sazerac wheelhouse. Yeah, I love Eagle Rare, and I'm not bragging, but I've been blessed in this area to where we had a local. It was actually a little grocery store in a little bitty town. And the guy had a knack for being able to get Eagle Rare in there to where, I don't think it was last year or the year before maybe. I think it was the year before. I saw and bought 8 different bottles in that place. 8 Eagle Rares. Bought every one of them. And one time I bought 2 and left 2 on the shelf. I know, that's crazy to think about. As hard as that is to find. I've heard it's like impossible to find up in the Northeast, anywhere Pennsylvania, New York, up in through the little small states up there in Maine. It's just impossible to find, and there's a lot of stuff up there I can't get around here. So I'm blessed with it, and I love Eagle Rare. It's super, super, super smooth. They have a couple of higher end Eagle Rares. It's over the 10-year that I've never been able to see. I wouldn't mind someday putting one on my shelf, but
So you have 8 different Eagle Rares?
No. I had 8 different bottles of it, and I sold 2 to Rich.
Oh, they're all the same.
Oh, it's all the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the great thing. I mean, how many people you talk about a great father-in-law? I gave a bottle of Eagle Rare to my son-in-law for Christmas. Now, that's a good father-in-law there.
Someone else wants to know, have we tried the Haagen-Dazs Bourbon Pecan Praline?
No.
I'm guessing, is that ice cream flavor?
It's ice cream.
That's what I thought. We haven't. I've never seen it before, but honestly, I've never looked for it. So maybe we'll look for that and try it.
Yeah, we will try to find that down in Florida. Mm-hmm. See if we can score some. They have their grocery stores down there have a lot of different stuff that we, up here at our Hy-Vees, Fairways, even our Walmarts and everything, you don't see the same stuff. So we've said that takes so long. There's a Publix not too far from us. It takes so long to go through there because the shelves look completely different. You see so many different brands of stuff, and it's really fun. And they have such a like a Spanish and like Cuban influence on their foods down there. Viva Florida.
Much more
Are
diverse.
you drinking that?
You can have it.
Okay. Folks, the stuff ain't cheap.
I'm just here to taste.
Yeah, she's tasting, and that's a taste to me.
And then I had a couple of people comment that I should try a whiskey sour or a whiskey sunrise.
I don't think I've ever had a whiskey sunrise.
I haven't either.
I don't even remember what's in
I'm thinking we need to do an episode where we make a bourbon drink.
Yeah. Now that'd be...
I know it's against your... how you drink, but I think for me, I would like it better mixed with something.
Now see, that's where the role reversal would be. If you had a whiskey sour or whiskey sunrise or something like that, I would take a sip of that and try that, and I guarantee I'm going to hand it back to you, and I'm just gonna go back and find my little cup, because there's a lot of times they've got a lot of sugar in them, and those kind of drinks, that adds a lot of carbs to it and everything, and it's one of the reasons why I almost completely quit drinking beer and switched to this, is to drop all those carbs off of it. What people don't realize is whiskey has quite a few calories in it, but the carbs are, taken off the board. And that's any little thing I can do. That's what I always told my doctor, after I was diagnosed as a type 1. We got it down quickly under control, but the whole thing is I want to make sure I'm eating and drinking different than I did when I had the issue of my diabetes had really flared up and everything. So, I would sit down at the computer and play a video game, and next thing I know, I'd ate 2 whole cans of Pringles.
Or a box of cereal.
Or I'd eat a whole box of Captain Crunch or something like that. Now, if I eat a lot of cereal, I sat down with the kids this morning. We were watching some Steve and Maggie, and if you haven't seen that on YouTube, if you got kids, don't ever let them see it.
It will be stuck in your head.
Oh my gosh! But it is very entertaining for our granddaughters. They love it, so that means I tolerate it. But just sitting there, and I had a thing of just regular old Cheerios. Hey, heart healthy. That's what they want to say. So that's what I was eating for my snack then. There's still sugar and carbs actually in that, but you get so many other good stuff out of it. So, got anything else?
I think that's all I have.
I'm just kind of rambling, I know.
Yeah.
We
should no.
Yeah.
We should probably wrap it up. Video's going to get pretty long, so if you have anything you'd like us to try, any kind of bourbon.
Yeah, if you get to the very end, type Booker.
Any suggestions for mixers? I'd like to do one on mixers. Things, ideas of what you mix bourbon with. I know Joe doesn't like to, but I probably will never. I like to taste the bourbon, but I would never be a bourbon drinker, I don't think. I'm just not a hard alcohol drinker anyway. So
yeah, if you're a big bourbon drinker and that's all you want to drink and you're planning on drinking it all night, a lot of people, we always called that. I don't know if you can't see it. You see that water, and it's my fingers. It's 2 fingers. That's what a lot of times, if you're in a bar or something, and you end up, they're serving you. It'd be like Maker's Mark is a huge one, and Maker's Mark is a decent bourbon. It doesn't get the love because it's almost like Budweiser versus craft beers and everything. What people are going to give the love to, of course, is the craft beers. Maker's Mark is decent. I've got 2 bottles upstairs. Neither one of them are open. But I've drank a fair share of Maker's Mark, okay? So if you go to a bar and the thing is everything comes in unless you want to order a shot. And a lot of places, like at weddings and everything, it's crazy. those guys, you say, hey, can I get a shot of whiskey? No, we can't give shots. That's what my brother ran into at my niece's wedding, at Kylie's wedding.
Oh.
Jeff came back and he was mumbling and everything. Right? They won't even let you have a shot. And I said, really? I said, well, let me give it a shot. Like, and I went up there and the bartender goes, yeah, what can I help you with? I said, hey, can I get a couple fingers of bourbon? He looked at me, he goes, well, which kind? And I looked up there, I said, well, you got that Wild Turkey 101. How about that? He goes, okay. And he poured me 2 fingers. That's two and a half shots of bourbon. He wouldn't let my brother have a small shot glass of it, but he let me have 2.5. I brought it back, put it over to Jeff, and he's like, shit, okay, So yeah, you got to order it to where the bartenders that think they know everything, they're not really thinking. They thought, well, Jeff, maybe they thought, he was just going to start doing shots and get wasted.
Yep.
And when it's in an on the rocks glasses, and you go up and you order it neat, you sound like you're not going to just gulp 3 gulps and it's gone and go back up after another one. So yeah, be respectful.
Anyway,
I don't know where that was going.
We were wrapping this up.
Oh, okay. I have trouble wrapping anything up. So. I can't wrap Christmas presents.
The bourbon's kicking in.
Not hardly.
I was just kidding. All right. Well, with that, we're going to say so long, and we'll see you in the next video. And remember, be kind.
You did that too early. It's
okay.
Remember, bourbon's great, but don't let it rule you.
And be kind.
Got to get it in the right order. This is like the blooper reel.